As someone not particularly enamored with mech games, and never having invested much time in them, Armored Core never piqued my interest initially, despite its ties to the revered creators from Software. Mech games just never quite grabbed me in the video game world, even though I genuinely think mechs are cool. Growing up watching animes like Gundam and to some extent Evangelion, the gaming side of mechs was never on my radar. Sure, I did dabble with those classic PS1 Gundam fighting games, played a bit of Virtual On, and even Cyberbots. I even coerced my older brother into buying Zone of the Enders just to play Metal Gear Solid 2. You know, that Metal Gear Solid 2 demo in the tanker. However, the genre never had me clamoring for my caregivers to buy me mech-related stuff at an early age. These were more of casual playthrough with friends kind of thing. Fast forward to the era from Software skyrocketing popularity, spending countless hours immersed in titles like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Elden Ring, etc. My curiosity about Armored Core grew.
What do you mean by that?
Before delving into the specifics of Armored Core 6, it's essential to touch on its roots. The original Armored Core. Players pilot mechs known as Armored Cores, engaging in combat against other cores and vehicles. Like many games in the series, cores are highly modular, offering players extensive customization options, such as swapping out different units for various advantages. As players complete missions, they earn credits to purchase items and parts for their cores. While Armored Core wasn't a blockbuster in 1997, critics lauded its customization and multiplayer aspects. From Software went to develop a whopping 15 more Armored Core games. Yes, you heard that right. 15.
That's a lot of damage.
Each installment building on the last, with slightly improved mechanics. Then, many years later, in 2022, during the Video Game Awards, yeah, that award show, you remember that moment.
By Bill Clinton. Thank you, everybody.
Armored Core 6 was teased for the first time. Even as someone who's never delved into the Armored Core series, I found myself genuinely intrigued from what Software had in store for us. Armored Core 6 is set in a future where humanity has developed an interstellar civilization. On the frontier planet of Rubicon 3, a substance called coral was discovered, capable of serving as both an energy source and a data conduit. Coral was hailed as the key to humanity's technological advancement. However, it caused a cataclysmic event known as the Fires of Ibis.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
This event engulfed the planet and the surrounding star systems in flames, leaving behind a lethal contaminant. All coral in existence was thought to have been consumed by the disaster. 50 years later, signs of coral are once again detected on Rubicon 3. Corporations flock to exploit the planet and control the coral, heedless of the costs and the harm to its inhabitants, and mercenaries follow to profit from the conflict. The player, an augmented human-designed C4621, is in servitude to the infamous handler named Walter, and fights as an Armored Core pilot with the promise of earning a new life through mercenary jobs. After an illegal landing on Rubicon 3, 621 steals the license of a deceased mercenary, assuming their call sign, Raven. With the new identity, 621 inserts themselves into a war raging on Rubicon's surface between the megacorporations Balaam Industries and Archipus Corp, the anti-corporation Rubicon Liberation Front, and the Planetary Closure Administration, who are all racing to find or protect the coral. It's important to know that the game's story is told during missions and cutscenes, but mostly during mission briefs and post-mission messages. You don't meet any characters by face, but by voice, which I thought was an interesting decision. You do meet some characters, ACs or mechs during missions, but you never really see a face, which honestly didn't really bother me at all. At first, the story felt a bit straightforward after the first initial mission where you get your call sign, but it begins to really pick up as you advance through missions. I think it's important to mention that you probably could have played the previous games to get a sense of the story, but I also think you don't have to, since the gameplay and its characters and the way they engage with the players kept me in it enough to keep me engaged and committed to understanding where the story was going. That said though, some moments probably could have hit me harder if I did play some of the games leading up to this one. Regardless, I enjoyed how simple the storytelling was, and there were also some great twists to the story. But, if I'm being honest here, I was way more interested in the gameplay. And The gameplay in Armored Core 6 is an absolute blast. It's straightforward, not overly complex. Logical, considering that piloting a mech would be a major challenge in reality. It's refreshing that FromSoft kept the controls intuitive. Piloting my AC made me feel like a total badass, and duking it out with other mechs and vehicles was consistently engaging and exciting. In my view, the gameplay hits its stride when you're zipping around, flying through the terrain, executing quick turns, and employing various arms and explosives to take down enemies. Some foes demand basic targeting and destruction, while others, including enemy ACs, require a more tactical approach. Akin to a Souls game. Not every enemy is a walk in the park though. Some force you to adapt your strategy mid-fight, and that in my opinion is brilliant game design. The game provides a diverse array of weapons and AC types, allowing you to switch things up for each mission. You might roll in as a tank for one mission, or opt for a typical bipedal mech for another. What's even cooler is that if the mission throws you for a loop, you can completely overhaul your AC to suit the mission style and start the mission over. Some missions may call for a grounded approach, while others might demand a more airborne strategy. The plethora of options and combinations meant I never stuck to just one mech. The game encouraged me to experiment with different builds, creating a unique experience. The customization option for your mech's appearance blew my mind. You can change the color of nearly every part of your mech. I'm talking from the helmet to individual guns, legs, arms. It felt like I could customize everything on that thing. There were so many possibilities. There was also various decals you can add to, and you can create as many as you want, even designing your own unique decal and placing them wherever you fancy on your AC. I spent countless of hours crafting different themed mechs, even creating a badass Zero mech using the different presets that the game offered.
Impressive. Very nice.
This alone compared me to try out diverse mechs and designs for almost every mission. Options is where this game truly shines, providing players with a multitude of choices. A move that, in my opinion, always pays off. Returning to the gameplay, the true essence lies in the game's bosses. Honestly, some of these bosses rank among the toughest I've ever faced in a FromSoft game. A few was so brutal that it took me several hours just to breach to the next phase. I was compelled to focus, experiment with different builds, and sometimes rely on a stroke of luck.
You were lucky. We'll meet again.
The boss fights weren't just challenges, they were spectacular spectacles, with bosses unleashing a plethora of different attacks. Take for instance the notorious Baltius. Yeah, you guys know who I'm talking about. What is happening? What's
Main system reactivating combat mode.
Oh my god, okay. In my eyes, he's the wall of this game. Confronting him truly forces you to grasp the mechanics, meticulously identify attack patterns, and patiently wait for your turn to strike. He presented a genuine challenge, and the elation upon finally defeating him was pure bliss.
Let's go! You motherfucker! You piece of sh**! Die! I'm the Armored Core around here, you hear me?
I can confidently say that nearly every boss fight in Armored Core 6 was a thrilling battle. Some side missions even allow you to face off against other ACs, unlocking skills to enhance your own mech. These skills, or in the game called OS, for example, like you can unlock a quick turn, or this lifesaver mechanic called terminal armor. It added an extra layer of strategy during certain boss fights and even certain missions. It was a fun diversion from just doing the main missions. Speaking of missions, they were a blast too. Some missions encouraged an all-guns-out blazing approach, while others leaned towards stealth, demanding patience as you navigated through. Missions generously rewarded you with the game's currency called credits, used to purchase parts for your mech. One mission in particular dished out a bunch of credits if you achieved a high score. It's worth noting that the game employs a grading system that determines your credit haul upon completing a mission. An outstanding performance results in a hefty reward, while lackluster showing gets you the crumbs. This feature added a layer of depth, encouraging me to revisit missions, aiming for that coveted perfect S-rank score, translating to tons of replayability. There are also chances to find certain loot around the map, and to put it into perspective, Armored Core 6 is a pretty linear game, but some of the maps can be huge to navigate, so you won't always know if there's an item nearby. I mean, it took me a few missions to even realize that there were items around, which then forced me to go back to check if there was other items or other item boxes. Most of them are weapons or parts for your mech. So if this is your first time playing Armored Core, ensure that you take some time to look around for those small chests. Overall, everything just clicked seamlessly. Nothing felt overwhelming. Each mission brought a new and unique challenge. No two missions or bosses felt alike. And the sheer uniqueness of the gameplay often left me marveling at how much fun I was having piloting a mech. It's a testament to the game's ability to keep things fresh and exciting throughout. In terms of the graphics, Armored Core 6 stands as one of FromSoft's best looking games in my opinion. The ACs were absolutely badass. The depiction of the future dystopian world is nothing short of amazing in my opinion. It's worth noting that this marked my first experience playing a FromSoft game at over 60 frames per second on PC, a feature I believe Elden Ring and Sekiro initially lacked, and still lack to a degree.
What the hell is even that?
Experiencing Armored Core 6 at such stunning frame rates was truly awesome, highlighting the game's exceptional optimization for PC players. The soundtrack of the game was, as expected, amazing. It showcased the versatility of the teams at FromSoft in creating diverse soundtracks for their games. Personally, my favorite theme in the game was the sortie music that plays after defeating, one of those big, important bosses. The music exuded this, eerie and melancholy vibe, making me feel both happy and sad at the same time, but in a good way, It truly captured the sentiment that, yes, I just defeated this formidable opponent, but at what cost? Who was it benefiting from this victory? It made me feel like I had accomplished something profoundly important, yet there was still so much mystery behind the story. The voice acting also held up really well, as I enjoyed hearing the characters talk, and you can really hear how expressive they are, although you couldn't really see them. You could only really see their call sign and occasionally their mech, but it was a nice touch. Like pretty much every FromSoft game, the game offers New Game Plus, with some missions escalating in difficulty compared to the previous playthrough. Weapons gain more potency, and new side missions become available. Yet what I find the coolest about New Game Plus is the impact on the story. The dialogue options emerge throughout the missions, altering the adversities you face, and even changing certain boss encounters. I almost forgot to mention the multiplayer aspect. Following the tradition of previous Armored Core games, this one offers PvP. Although I haven't personally delved into PvP, judging by the intensity of the side missions where you confront other ACs, I imagine it provides a similar experience, except if you're facing off against a real person. I would say for those seeking a formidable challenge, diving into PvP is definitely worth a shot. Honestly, I didn't have any significant gripes with the game. If I'm being honest, I entered with no preconceived notions or expectations, and I had an absolute blast. While I won't claim it's a flawless game, I found it challenging to pinpoint aspects that detracted from my overall enjoyment of Armored Core 6. Every second spent with the game was thoroughly enjoyable.
Impressive. Very nice.
In summary, I believe FromSoft hit it out the park with this game. In a year filled with outstanding titles, Armored Core 6 truly stood out as one of my favorites. Even if you're not particularly into mechs or maybe haven't played any of the previous Armored Core games or Souls games, I would strongly recommend giving Armored Core 6 a try. It undoubtedly converted me into a fan, and I eagerly anticipate any future DLC if it ever comes our way. So, that's my review on Armored Core 6. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it helpful. But now, I want to hear from you. Have you played this game yet? What did you think of it? Did you agree with my review, or did you have a completely different experience? Let me know in the comment section below. I'm always interested in hearing different perspectives and engaging in discussions about games, so don't be shy. Whether you love the game or had some issues with it, I want to hear from you. So, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's have a conversation. Take care, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.